What is going on, everybody? Sam here, United People's TV. I'm pretty sure I'm live. I definitely know it's Monday morning. How is everybody doing? Where are you watching from? You know the drill by now. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll try and give you as many shout-outs as possible. But the Euros has kicked off. It's been an exciting start. The best game, I think, was that 3-2 Netherlands-Ukraine last night. Some fantastic goals. Some fantastic individual performances so far throughout the Euros. Who's impressed you the most? But I'm here to talk about that man, of course, Jadon Sancho. All the latest updates coming from the Times, coming from Germany, coming from Fabrizio. Because it has developed in the last week, or about the last week, really has developed quite a lot. I'm going to be talking about Sancho. Could today be the day where a deal is announced? I'm not saying that Sancho is going to be announced as a Manchester United player, but could the deal be announced? That's what I'm going to be talking about, as well as talking about Kieran Trippier, the latest from Spain on him. I want to talk about Declan Rice. I want to talk about Anthony Martial. I want to talk about the games that are happening in the Euros today. And there's lots and lots to talk about. There really, really is. So you know the drill. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'll try and give shout outs throughout the stream. If you would, please send in your super chats. It helps the channel, and I like answering your questions. Let's see where you're watching from. We've got Daniel from Botswana watching on Facebook. Good morning to you, my friend. We've got Manish watching from India on YouTube, as well as Alan, Joe Taylor. Big up, Joe Taylor, watching from Manchester. All around the world, we've got Joe from Uganda, Machina from Thailand, Wise from Zambia, Lucky from Nigeria, and Chris watching from Northern Ireland. It really is mad. Someone's got to help me and help me put pins on a map where people watch this from, because it is ridiculous. It is all around the world. But there's only one man we're focusing on to start this live stream, and that is, of course, Jadon Sancho. Do you think that Man United can complete a deal for Jadon Sancho this week? I really, really hope so. Now, let's give you the updates that's happened from across the press. Konstantin Ekner, he's been one of the leading voices on this Sancho situation. Over the weekend, writing an article for the Times, says Man United make a new move for Jadon Sancho. The negotiations between United and Dortmund over a transfer of Sancho continue after the first bid was rejected. They want £77.5 million. We know that. With add-ons that could go to 86, and United are 11 million short. 11 million is minor in the transfer game, really. It's a lot of money for a normal human being. But in terms of signing players, and a player like Sancho, it is a gap which is very achievable. It's not as if United last summer, they wanted 120. We were going in with 80. It's a 40 million gap. This is 25% of the size of that gap. That's why I think, and that's why I'm really confident that United will actually get this over the line. United are now working, is what Konstantin's saying. United are now working on an offer that would include more success bonuses to make up that gap. The German club are willing to accept a variety of add-ons that they think are realistically achievable. Interestingly, and I've seen this from a lot of sources, United intending to include a Ballon d'Or clause should Sancho come in the top 3, but Dortmund rejected a clause. Maybe they don't back Sancho to get into the top 3. Maybe they want more realistically achievable. That's what it says here. So maybe when Sancho scores his 20th goal for United, they'll get an extra 2 million. Or when Sancho scores his 50th goal for United, they'll get even more. That's probably what they want, rather than something like a Ballon d'Or, even though Sancho has all the potential to get there. Now, as well as that from Konstantin, the man himself, Fabrizio Romano, covered on the People's Person excellently by Red Billy. As always, Fabrizio Romano, this is what he said. United have been in contact with Jadon Sancho's camp during the weekend. And this is, I've said this on the live stream last week when you all joined in. And this is why it's important, because it's not United going in once for Sancho and waiting weeks to have another conversation with Dortmund. It's going in once aggressively, going in again over the weekend. United are moving fast to move in for Sancho. And of course, something happened with Sancho over the weekend, which, let's be honest, it got United fans a little bit excited. Jadon Sancho was left out of the England squad completely. Now, Gareth Southgate said that was simply down to, you got 26 players in the squad. There's 23 in the team. Sancho got left out. Ben Chilwell, I think, got left out. Harry Maguire did, and Jadon Sancho did, which means I think that we had 2 keepers on the bench. Now, you cannot tell me that was a decision. Maybe Sancho had a niggle. Maybe it's nothing at all, but that got United fans excited. And let's see what happens there. But where are you watching this from? Let me go and read a few more of your comments up. Watching from the British forces in Cyprus. Thank you very much for watching, Cameron. We've got Abdul watching from Indonesia and Mark watching from Dublin. Good morning to you, Mark. We've got Wisdom watching from Nigeria. And we've got Walking King Savage watching from England, London. And Idius, where are you? I have to go click that one. Watching from Accra. Big up Accra in Ghana, my second home. Man, I wish, to be fair, the weather in England right now is reminding me of Accra. In Accra, the thing I found crazy about Ghana is every single day it was 33 degrees. And every single evening it was like 25 degrees. Constantly, consistent. It was beautiful. The African weather. Lovely. But when it comes to Sancho, an important aspect about the Sancho deal, of course, is what are Dortmund going to do without him? Now, you've got reports coming from Germany from Bild. Don't show again. Abort. Thank you very much. Holland Rocket is set to be the Sancho successor. What's his name? Daniel Malen. Bild are saying that he is lined up to be Sancho's successor, 30 million euros, matured into a super player in the Netherlands last season, and they are lining him up to replace Sancho. And Dortmund, let's be honest, they've got a scouting system which could rival anybody in the world. It arguably is better than anybody in the world. Players like Jude Bellingham they've got in. When Jude Bellingham came on for England, that was a wicked performance. The kid's 17. When I was 17, I was getting drunk drinking cider on the street. He's there starting for England at Euro 2020 at Wembley. Amazing prospect. They got Sancho as well. They got Haaland. Obviously, that Haaland was a bit different, but I think they're just amazing in terms of the signings they make, and they build stars and then they sell them and they replace them. And it's a cycle which works for Dortmund. Maybe it's a cycle which has kept them in second place, really, in the Bundesliga, seeing as I think Bayern have won 9 in a row now. But Sancho to United today, do you think it could happen? Yes or no in the comments below. And as I said, make sure you send me in your super chats if you really have a question that you want to ask me, because I'll be honest, if you ask me a question in the comments, I can't really read them because there's so many people constantly commenting where they're watching from. We've got Naim watching from Mauritius, Jonah from Nigeria. No, from Mauritius, Jonah from Nigeria, and Sonny watching from Scotland. Oh, of course, we're talking about Scotland and a certain Scott McTominay because they play today. But if you leave your questions in the comments, I basically can't read them because there's too many comments coming in. So you're going to have to send in super chats if you really want me to answer a question about transfer targets. But that's the latest on Sancho at the moment. My gut tells me it won't happen today, but I get the feeling that United really could get this deal done before the Euros is finished. The logic in me says that transfers of that scale shouldn't really be able to happen when I think it's a bit unfair on Sancho for him to have that hanging over his head. And maybe in that sense, it would be fair on Sancho to get the deal announced because then he'd be like, right, cool. I can actually speak about it now. I don't have to hide it. Because he wanted to move last summer. It didn't happen. And he wants to move this summer. And it will happen. It's a case of when, not if, in my opinion. I might get egg on my face saying that, but I don't think I will. Tom Whitmore watching from Rockford. Had to shout that one out. And George watching from Ghana. Good morning to both of you. But that's enough on Sancho at the moment. I'll go back in and I'll speak about him in a bit. Let's move on to a certain Kieran Trippier, a player who started for England against Croatia at left back. Staggeringly, really, considering the fact that you've got Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell in that squad. But Gareth Southgate decided to play Kieran Trippier. He played all right, and England won 1-0. They got a clean sheet. So ultimately, Gareth Southgate's decisions were completely vindicated. But the story coming here, Kieran Trippier has told his England teammates he expects to sign for Manchester United this summer. Football Insider understands. Now, Kieran Trippier, a lot has been said about Kieran Trippier. Rio Ferdinand went a step further and said that he doesn't think that Kieran Trippier will be a good signing for Manchester United. I would personally disagree. And I don't think it's a glamorous signing. And I don't think it's a signing which is really going to transform United's fortunes in any way, shape or form. But I think Kieran Trippier would be a good, experienced, mature, smart signing for United if we can get it between 10 and 15 million euros. 30 years old. Is he 30? I think he's 30. So look, he's 30, which is reasonable. We've still got a couple of years there. But I've said this before. With Luke Shaw, Alex Telles came in and he was an established Champions League Porto starter. Came in and he challenged Luke Shaw from the top down. Effectively, Alex Telles was a more experienced and more mature and more settled player. But that spark is what helped Luke Shaw turn himself into the player that he has become this season. And I think that someone like Kieran Trippier can do that from the top down with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I don't think you need someone like Max Aarons, who's a young and hungry player, coming underneath. Probably a better choice of words would be better than that. But challenging Aaron Wan-Bissaka from below, I think someone like Kieran Trippier, who's a bit more experienced, I think can do that from above. And I think that's why it'd be a good signing. Thank you very much for Super Chat, Anoop, saying you love the channel and love the content. I appreciate every single one of you who all join in here. Last time it was about 2,000 comments were left on live on the video on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you do subscribe, though. Not many of you are subscribing. The majority of you are subscribers. That's why you're getting involved. But if you're new to the channel, and I know some of you will be, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'm going to be going live every single day, talking about Manchester United, talking about the latest, talking about the Euros, the standout performances, and that's going to be my next conversation point. But I want you to all get involved, and let's see where you're all watching this from. For sure, it will be done today, says Samson. I hope you're right. Watching from Liberia. We've got Masitachi watching from Uganda, and Philip watching from Accra. We've got Maltese Devil not watching from Malta, watching from Mansfield, and we've got Ashraf watching from Cape Town. Good morning to you, all of you. I mean, I'm sure it's not morning everywhere. Oh, look, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but it begins with P, and you're watching from North Macedonia. Good luck to you, and good luck to Goran Pandev. My God, he's 38 when he kicks off the Euro 2020. But speaking of Euro 2020, there's one thing I really want to particularly talk about so far. And I said prior to the England game, I've said the whole way through, I'm a bit confused about Declan Rice, and I always have been confused about Declan Rice and the hype behind him. And unfortunately for Declan Rice, he got overshadowed big time by Calvin Phillips in England's 1-0 win against Croatia. Calvin Phillips is typically a player who plays in a deeper role. That's where he plays for Leeds, and Marcelo Bielsa has helped turn him into a fantastic player, clearly. But I said all along, I said that game between England and Croatia, or in fact, this tournament was an opportunity for Declan Rice to show me that he can play as in the single pivot role as a defensive midfielder. He didn't play in that role. He played in a dual pivot, which is what United have been doing with McTominay and Fred. But it's not just that. Calvin Phillips overshadowed him massively. Man of the match performance from Calvin Phillips. And it was an outstanding performance. Great assist for Sterling. But it was just his overall tenacity that I wanted to see from Declan Rice. Instead, I saw from Calvin Phillips. And it's just, unfortunately for me, it's made me think, it's put even more doubt in my mind. A couple of super chats coming in, so I'm definitely going to read these out. Thank you very much, Kenneth. Good morning from Birmingham, Alabama. Wanted to say nice shirt. I quite like the shirt, actually. I don't really know what it is. It's an octopus coming out of a glass of whiskey, obviously. I mean, what else would you wear on a shirt? Thank you very much for the super chat, though, buddy. And keep watching from Alabama. There's another one coming in here. Where is it gone? I need to find it. Kenneth there. Got Sam here watching, saying, good job, Sam. Thank you very much, my friend. You want Jadon Sancho. I want Jadon Sancho. And look, Mickey said it there. Get Phillips from Leeds. And I mean, a lot of people are going to say, look, man, we're not going to deal with Leeds. And I'll say two players. I'll say Eric Cantona and I'll say Rio Ferdinand. You could also throw Alan Phillips in there if you really... Alan Phillips? Alan Smith there if you really, really wanted to. I think I might be getting confused with Calvin Phillips and Alan Smith. But we do and have done and have bought players from Leeds before. That's not to say that off the back of that individual performance that I'm saying, let's go out and sign Calvin Phillips. But at international tournaments, you always get players. In 2004, it was Wayne Rooney who turned himself from a prospect into a star. Maybe this is a tournament where Calvin Phillips can turn himself in from an underrated and not really discussed midfielder into an established and top level central midfielder. And judging from that performance against Croatia, he really can be. And as I said, I think for me, I'm really not sold on Declan Rice. I'm really not sold on the idea that United are going to spend 80, 90 million pounds on signing Declan Rice and he's going to become our defensive midfield powerhouse. He may well do that, but I need to see something from Rice in this tournament for England that shows me that he's worth that, because it's the biggest stage. Playing for West Ham is all well and good, but playing for England in that role, it's tough. And that's no offense to West Ham, and I'm sure it actually is quite offensive. But England and United are a different scale to West Ham. And that's why I think, Declan Rice at the moment is a big fish in a small pond. But when you switch that round and you're a small fish in a big pond, it's a completely different ball game. And that's why I want to see Declan Rice do it for England. A new limits here with a fair comment saying Rice was deeper and Phillips was more attacking. That's why he was noticeable. Yes, I do agree with that. But in that sense, I also saw far more defensively from Calvin Phillips in terms of his aggressive ball interceptions. And maybe Declan Rice was told by Gareth Southgate, look, man, just sit there in front of the back four. Don't move. Don't do anything. That's your role. And maybe in that sense, he played it very well. But I was still very, very impressed by Calvin Phillips' performance. And I think it would not be fair to not mention that. Moving on from Calvin Phillips, of course, we're going to be watching all the Euros. In fact, let's talk about that now, because these are the games we've got going on today. Scotland kicking off against Czech Republic, followed by Poland and Slovakia, and then Spain, Sweden. It's a tasty triple today, I would say. And of course, the first one we're going to be watching is Scotland against Czech Republic. And of course, we're going to be watching because we're going to see if Calvin Phillips played good against Croatia. Let's go and see how incredible Scott McTominay is about to play against Czech Republic. I really, really would love him to elevate himself even higher, because Scott McTominay has developed himself into a fantastic central midfielder for Manchester United, a box-to-box midfielder, I would say, rather than a defensive midfielder. Let's see what role he plays for Scotland. I actually don't know what role he plays for Scotland, so I'll be interested to watch and see. But I'm just excited to see Scott McTominay on the big stage. I'm a big fan of Scott McTominay. I think he gets way too much jib for what he does. And I think he's better than people give him credit for. But I'll be interested to see what he can do there. Big up to Srijit. I think Srijit Daz, I really, really thank you very much for that super chat saying, thanks for the show. I know that United needs Sancho, but what about the deadwood? Why are United not clearing the deadwood? It would bring money to the club and get them off our books. Also, it would help provide a substantial part of the Sancho fee. Now, I think you're spot on there. If we're looking at deadwood at United, Phil Jones is top of that list. In fact, let's quickly look through this together. That's a really good comment there. So let's talk about it. Let's head over to United's official website and let's have a look at the squad, because then we can run through it together and we can all decide who you think is deadwood at the club, because certainly the squad needs to be reduced as much as it needs to be improved. It's a standard thing to do. Let's head over here now. If we're looking at deadwood, the deadwood's already gone from here. We've got Joel Pereira's left. Sergio Romero's left. I think Lee Grant. Is Lee Grant still there? I don't even know. But David De Gea, he's still at the club. I think he's going to be staying at the club. My gut tells me it's the right summer for it to move on, but I don't know. Maybe it's just going to be too complicated. But let's move on to the defenders. Now, you let me know in the comments below here, which of these defenders do you think is deadwood? Which of these... Let me make it a smaller screen and let me quickly take Srijit's comment off the screen. Big up. Thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. And I'm really glad that you enjoy the show. Let me quickly go up here so I can remove it. There we go. Let's get talking about the deadwood. Right. It's a big old squad there, isn't it? 12 defenders there. Victor Lindelof, Eric Bailly, Phil Jones, Harry Maguire, Diogo Dalot, Luke Shaw, Alex Telles, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Brandon Williams, Axel Tuanzebe, Ted Mengi, and Will Fish, who obviously made his debut. If we're talking about pure deadwood here, Phil Jones, you're gone. I would say Phil Jones is deadwood. If you're looking at hopefully making a bit of money, I don't know anybody who's going to pay his wages. I wouldn't put Lindelof, Bailly, or Maguire anywhere near the deadwood pile. Or Luke Shaw, or Aaron Wan-Bissaka, or Axel Tuanzebe, or Tenan Mengi. I would protect all of those. In terms of players that could easily leave United this summer, and I don't think we've missed them, Diogo Dalot, Brandon Williams, and Phil Jones. Those are the three that I would choose from the defence. Let me see what you think out here. We've got Jones, Martial, and Lindelof would make a few shillings. They certainly would make plenty of shillings, Graham. And I'm actually talking about Anthony Martial next. So excellent point. Got Colton here on Facebook saying Jones, Dalot, and Williams out on loan. Brandon Williams, what a strange one. When he burst into the team, he looked brilliant, but he certainly didn't develop. He didn't take to the stage and then become a better player. I think he sort of went into himself a little bit. We've got Phil Jones and Victor Lindelof to go. I can't really see United letting Lindelof go this summer. I actually think Lindelof is a good defender. I still think we need a better centre-back to partner Harry Maguire, but I wouldn't get rid of Lindelof, not this summer. But in terms of the deadwood there, I think we can all agree Jones is dead. Not literally dead, but he's deadwood. Diogo Dalot, I don't think he has a future at the club. I think it's unfortunate for him. He came in, as I said before, injuries sort of plagued his time. And then Brandon Williams, I think we could send him out on loan. I wouldn't be averse to sending him out on loan. Comment here from John, which I like the look of, so I'm going to click that. It makes no difference what we call deadwood. It's up to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He, as his favourites, picks every week and won't even sub any of them. Of course, it's up to the manager. He's the manager of the club. He decides who goes. But I think from the very start, remember this, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in, Marouane Fellaini, straight out the door. He was ruthless in that respect. And I think there's every chance that he can be ruthless again. He's done a lot of good with the players who have left the club, and he's done a lot of good with players who have joined the club as well. But there's still a lot to go. And if we're looking at midfield, maybe there are more players to leave from here. You let me know, out of these 12 players on the screen here, who do you think is expendable? Who could United let go this summer and it wouldn't cause too much problems? Paul Pogba, Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard and Andreas Pereira. There's certainly a few there straight away. Fred, Bruno, Ahmad, Daniel James, Facundo Pellistri, Nemanja Matic, Donny van der Beek, James Garner, Scott McTominay and Hannibal. Man, I love that name, Hannibal. It's just wicked. For me, they're looking at our squad. I think that one there is quite obvious. I think Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard and Andreas Pereira could all leave Manchester United this summer and it wouldn't cause too much of a problem. I've seen reports last week that Man United are looking at a wage reduction of 40% for Juan Mata. If he's fine with that and he wants to stay at the club, then okay. But for me, I'd rather see Donny van der Beek get minutes instead of Juan Mata. I'd rather see Amad Diallo get minutes instead of Juan Mata. I don't think Juan Mata has a place at Manchester United anymore. There's younger players that I would rather see the time go out to. And I think if we let him go as well, we get a lot of wages off the books. Jesse Lingard, really unfortunate for him that England have got so many good attackers, but that's the reason why Lingard didn't go to the Euros. Not because of form, because he hit form hard, which works out well for Manchester United. I think he should join West Ham. I think he'd be good there. I think he'd also potentially be good at Arsenal. But Jesse Lingard, we can get probably between 25 and 40 million, depending on how good we are in negotiations. I think that would be a fair price for Jesse Lingard, and we'd get some money for him. And Andreas Pereira, I think he wants to go to Lazio again, but we shouldn't be loaning a player for the second year in a row. Should just be selling or loaning with an obligation to buy. And with Andreas Pereira, you can probably get between 10 and 15 million, roughly, I think, anyway. Lots and lots of comments coming in. I'm going to take this opportunity now to say, with me on full screen, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button down below. I'd really appreciate all of you joining in, all of you coming in, and all of you sending in super chats. Like Sridget, thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. It helps the channel, and I really enjoy answering your questions. Now, this one coming in from Nathan Pitt. Denzel Dumfries as a backup for Trippier. Obviously, Denzel got the match winner for Netherlands last night. Man of the match. He was outstanding, but I haven't watched enough of the kid. But clearly, he's got a bit of talent. If we're moving on here, looking at the midfielders still, we talked about, well, Pogba's not going to be leaving, I don't think. I don't think he should leave either. Juan Mata, Jesse Lingard, Andreas Pereira, Fred, Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad and Daniel James, all four of them are staying. And I don't really think there's a conversation. You could have a conversation about Fred if you really, really wanted to. But there's no point talking about selling central midfielders before we buy central midfielders. So I don't think that's a conversation we need to have, as much as I would like to see Nemanja Matic leave. No offense to Matic, but he's just too old for that role now. And that's my own opinion. Facundo Pellistri, I can't remember where he spent last. Where was he on loan last year? I know it was in Spain. Was it Alaves? Let's have a look. Look at that. Alaves. I'm good. Yeah, so he was on loan. He's not really a central midfielder anyway. He's more of I think he's more of an attacker. But Matic, Van der Beek, and Garner, all three of those will be staying. Maybe Garner, can he come back in and do a job? Did very well at Nottingham Forest last year, and I know plenty of you do like him. Let's see whether he can keep. I think he'll keep a spot. Do we have a pre-season tour this year, or is it cancelled because of the Euros? I'm sure we'll have some sort of pre-season, but maybe reduced. But I think he'll be part of that, and let's see if he stays or goes out on loan. And Scott McTominay and Hannibal. Hannibal is a very exciting prospect. For anybody who's watched the academy, you know that he could be a fantastic player for Manchester United. And Scott McTominay, I love Scott McTominay. I'll say it there. I love him. Where are you watching from? Let's read a few more of your comments coming out here. We have got Abraham watching from Cape Coast, a lovely place. Thank you very much for watching Cape Coast in Ghana. We've got Bernie watching from LA. Good morning. It really is good morning to you there. What is it, like 2:30 in the morning? Either go to bed or don't sleep. Don't sleep. Easier. Right, let's read a few more out here. Declan Rice or Phillips? I can't answer that question yet, but judging from that performance against Croatia, Phillips really has a lot to him in terms of that central midfield role. We've got Shimmer watching from Cambodia. We've got Glenn watching from Belgium. Legitimately, we must have... look, we've got Vladimir watching from Bulgaria. If we put a pin in the map, everywhere around the world, it really is good fun. A comment here coming from Sridit. Thank you very much, Sridit. You are sending the super chat, my man. Wicked. This is your opinion on who should be going, and you deserve that because you sent the super chat. In defense, Phil Jones, Diogo Dalot, and Brandon Williams on loan. Midfield, Andreas Pereira, Juan Mata, Nemanja Matic, and Jesse Lingard. And forward, Anthony Martial and goalkeeper David De Gea. 120 to 150 million. That is Sancho plus cash in hand. I mean, it's amazing how simple we as football fans can look at it, isn't it? When we do stuff like this and we're like, it's obvious. Just go and do that. Because on paper, maybe that would seem perfect, but maybe it's not as simple as that, is it? But I would agree with the majority of that. And moving on to the attackers here. Edinson Cavani, Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood, Tahith Chong, Anthony Elanga, and Shola Shoretire, I think is how you pronounce his name. I think that's right. Who out of those attackers do you think should be leaving Manchester United, or who doesn't have who's expendable? Cavani staying, Martial. I did a tweet over the weekend. I think quite a few of you, if you had seen it, a lot of people would seem to agree with it. I said, look, not last season, the season before, Martial announced himself as a proper striker at United. 23 goals, our top scorer, scoring tap-ins, scoring worldies, scoring headers. His game massively developed. And last year, his game disappeared. He disappeared. Injuries didn't help him, of course, but Marcus Rashford, even injured Marcus Rashford, he outperformed him. Mason Greenwood outperformed him after having a stinker for 6 months after what was a tough start to the season. Edinson Cavani was injured for so much of it. He shined. Anthony Martial disappeared. And I think we can all, I personally think we can fairly say now that Manchester United cannot rely on Anthony Martial as our as a number 9. If we're really going to be challenging for the Premier League and challenging for the Champions League next year, which is what we want to be doing, I don't think we can rely on Anthony Martial to be that player for Manchester United. I think if we're going to be selling him, this summer is a good time to do it. He didn't get into the Euro squad with France because they are littered with players. But for me, Anthony Martial, I think now would be the right time to sell him. He would command a good fee. It's whether or not we would get a replacement in for Martial. And I think that's the issue with United and selling players. Look, when we signed Ronaldo, we all know what happened there. But Cavani, Rashford and Greenwood, would that be enough for United next year? I'm not sure. It'll be risky, certainly with Cavani's injury record and the fact that Rashford certainly needs surgery this summer. So in that sense, maybe it wouldn't be a wise move to sell Martial without bringing in a replacement. But I think Martial, out of all of those, are expendable. Tahith Chong spent, I think it was a season on loan at Werder Bremen, did well. Not really sure he's still, well, when he went out on loan, he was certainly raw. Maybe he's developed and improved, but he was massively raw when he got sent out on loan. Anthony Elanga came in, made his debut, scored his first goal for United. He looks an exciting prospect. And Shola Shoretire, he's a young player coming through, so he's not going anywhere unless maybe he goes on loan. It's an interesting question. Thank you very much for Sridit for bringing that to the table. But as you can see there's certainly some deadwood, and we can make some money out of those. And as I've said before, I was talking about Anthony Martial. I question whether Martial has a future at Manchester United. I'm just really not sure that. I'm just not sure he's good enough in that role. We've got Nathan here with a super chat, which is a kind of a fair point here. Martial could be Rashford's left wing competition. Now, you let me know. That's an interesting prospect, an interesting idea. Let me know in the comments below. You type yes or no. Do you agree with Nathan? Do you think that Martial could maybe be developed into or pushed into that left wing role and moved away from centre forward and maybe played on the left wing role as competition to Rashford? Because Rashford at this point, we don't really have anybody else who can play there. It's an interesting idea, and I just don't really think that Martial can be our number 9. He's exciting, he really is, but you just don't think you can rely on him in front of goal. Maybe the solution to that isn't selling Martial. Maybe the solution is moving him out to the left. Got Graham, you disagree on Facebook. Fabian, you agree. So does Manoli. Geordie TV, you're on the wrong channel here, mate. You say no. you're saying yes, plenty watching. And we've also got Davian watching from Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to you, my friend, on Facebook. That's where he plays best, says Ole Bode. I think I've got that right. Look, that's an interesting prospect. And maybe I'm being unfair on saying that Martial's career at United is done. But I think his career as a number 9 for United is most certainly done. But let's go back to talking about the main man himself before we wrap up today. And that's Jadon Sancho. I would love to see Jadon Sancho completed for United as soon as possible. Can that happen by the end of this week? That's what everybody is wanting. And I'll be honest, we all want it done by the end of today. And United have really been moving aggressively for Jadon Sancho. And I've said this before. I've said that that's why I'm excited. And that's why I think we should all get excited about what is happening with Sancho at the moment, because we are moving aggressively and we're moving fast for him. And that is why it's good. The terms were already agreed. Sancho got left out of England's squad against Croatia. Unless that was injury related, that's fishy for me, because you just don't leave a player like Jadon Sancho out of not on the bench. Madness. It really was madness in that sense. But the fact that we won 1-0, you know, his Gareth Southgate's decisions got vindicated. So you can't really have a go at him too much here. Let's read a few of your comments out here. I think that's what I try and do at the end of every live stream is I just go down to the comments and I read some of your opinions and some of your questions. So everybody fire in your questions now. Fire in the minute if you're in a super chat if you really want to ask it. And I'll read a couple of them out to finish up this live stream today. But let's do a quick roundup for anybody who's just joining in now. If you are joining and you are new to the channel on YouTube, please go down below, hit that subscribe button and get involved in the community. It's great. As you can see, it's from all around the world. I'm here every day, Monday to Friday in the mornings, giving you the live videos like this. And if you're watching on Facebook, make sure you drop a like on the video. Make sure you like the Manchester United People's Person page and share the video. That helps too. But let's read a few of your comments out here. We've got Sammy on Facebook saying, "Hi, Sam. I read last night that Ole would sign 4 players this summer. Is that true?" I think we're looking at positions. We're looking at centre-back, central defensive midfield, right back and right wing. I don't think that's outside the realms of possibility. I don't know how much we're going to be putting into that. And that's I think that's the crucial thing for United is how much money do we actually have to spend. But it's an interesting one. I think we could sign 4, but I do think it depends on us selling players as well. Manola, you're sending in a question on YouTube. What about Pogba's situation? Is he re-signing, selling in this window, or leaves as a free agent next year? I personally think that Paul Pogba will be staying this summer. I do actually think he'll sign a new contract. That's what my gut's telling me. There's no inside information on that. Let's see how that develops. But I think if we can't lose Pogba free twice, can we? Jeez. Got Khalid watching from Minnesota. First person I've seen from Minnesota. That's all I always try and do. Quickly look in the comments like this one there from Ramez, watching from Nepal. And we've got Saar watching from Sierra Leone. Too many comments in, so I always keep clicking the wrong ones. Jadon saying, yeah, United do need a central defensive midfielder, centre-back, and a striker. With Sancho would be realistic. I think because Cavani signed that extension, I don't think we'll sign a striker as well as Cavani, but I might be wrong. And I just think we're waiting out for Haaland next summer. How long will this saga take? This window? Widow? Different thing. My gut tells me Sancho's not going to be a saga this summer. I think it's going to be wrapped up nice and quick. We've got Mark watching from Ireland. Good morning to you, my friend. Abu saying that Grealish is better than Sancho. It's a debate you could have if you really wanted to, but I think Sancho's better. Garrod watching from Sydney, Australia. I love watching all the comments coming in. Really is awesome. But that is it for today because I'm probably going to be late to my appointment now, but I was enjoying the conversation too much. You know the drill by now. I'll be here Monday to Friday. Well, early today because I've got an appointment, and I'll be maybe Monday. I'll give you the times. If you follow me on Twitter, follow United People's TV at United People's TV on Twitter. I'll always give you the times we're going live. Make sure you join the Discord as well. There's a link in the description on YouTube. Thousands of us on there. Daily chats. Make sure you subscribe to United People's TV if you're new. Big up to Sridget for sending in. Or I'll let you do one more there. Thank you very much for the super chats you sent in today, my friend. If Pogba doesn't sign a new contract, sell him and get Grealish. Paul Pogba sacks Riola. He will not sign an extension. That's a fair point. I mean, we can't really afford the idea of losing Paul Pogba on a free again, can we? We made that mistake once. Let's not make it twice. Alehu watching from Finland. I'm not sure we had anybody from Finland before. Good morning to you, my friend. I really enjoy these live streams. I really enjoy engaging with the community. I really enjoy engaging with all of you and answering your questions. I've answered plenty this morning, and some of you, big up to Sridget. You're sending in your super chats, and that's a big help to me. Now, make sure you subscribe to United People's TV. If you're new to the channel, make sure you drop a like on the Facebook page as well. I'll be here tomorrow. Let's watch Scott McTominay this afternoon. Then we've got De Gea against Lindelof for Spain, Sweden later on. You send me, look, at United People's TV on Twitter and at SamPeoples_ on Twitter. That's my personal Twitter. If you want to ask me questions, fire it over there. I'll be here tomorrow. As always, thank you all for joining in, literally all around the world. I'll be here tomorrow. You have a good day. Enjoy the sunshine in England. 28 degrees in England today. Baby, let's get sunbathing. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the week. Until next time, which is tomorrow, take it easy.